So this is one of the most insane x-rays I've ever seen. This is a pelvis x-ray. This is the pelvis that you see here, and this is a generous shot. So it also happens to include a significant portion of the femurs bilaterally. Now, what is jumping right out off the screen at us here is this film is riddled with these linear densities, and they're everywhere, and they're innumerable. You can't even begin to count them all. So what the hell are they? This is a condition known as cysticercosis. Essentially, these are larval cysts of Teniasolium, also known as the pork tapeworm. And the life cycle of T. solium is complex, and I'm not going to go into all the details here, but I will just say that the life cycle begins with a human consuming raw or undercooked pig, and then that person becomes infected with the worms in their GI tract and passes the eggs along to another unfortunate human who then can...
Now, excuse me, now let's stop there. That is not the only place where you get these. They have cases where they got it from their dog. You're talking about tapeworm. Dogs pass tapeworm to their owners as well. And when they do, it's the same scenario. It's not the actual worm, it's the egg. So you're talking about tapeworm eggs that can be on the dog's tongue or coat. It can be on the outside of their bodies. But it's a lot worse when it's, on their tongue and when they're licking you in the face.
Consumes them. Now, these cysts can travel anywhere throughout the entire body. In this patient, they've traveled heavily to the musculature and the soft tissues of the hips and the legs. Now, in and of themselves, here, they don't really pose a life-threatening problem. In fact, you'll find this ironic, but this x-ray was only taken because this patient fell and had left hip pain. And if you look closely here, there is an impacted femoral neck fracture here, and it becomes more obvious when you compare it to the contralateral side. So these were all incidental findings. Now, what happens is they lodge here, and over time, they calcify, and that gives them this classic appearance known as rice grain calcification. The problem is when these travel to the brain and lodge there, that can cause very serious issues. That is known as neurocysticercosis. And as you can imagine, that will lead to neurologic symptoms like headaches, confusion, even seizures, and yes, unfortunately, even death.
From these cysts, the egg gets into your body and they form a cyst. And the cysts are like a bubble. And they can burst. Inside your body, they can burst. And if they burst inside your body, you're going to have a bunch of tapeworms in your body. Look. So you can just get the larvae inside your body, and they can develop into a new cyst. If you got one of these in your body, Lord help you. Right? May the force be with you. Go to hospital. You mean tell me a person's body can have a whole bunch of these cysts in their bodies, and the cysts inside of them are a bunch of tapeworms? From your dog to you? No. You catch that little Jedi mind trick he tried to pull just then? That's the culprit right there. Don't sit there and tell me that dogs get tapeworm from sheep. You know how many dogs get tapeworm? Most of them never even been around no sheep. What are you talking about? But people who haven't looked into this stuff, they don't know no different. That's why they can just spew out these lies and misinformation. And people just accept it as fact. Dogs are not getting tapeworm from sheep. Dogs are, they walk around with tapeworm all between the dog and the sheep. He just sat there and said that the dog is the one with the tapeworm larvae. It's the interaction between the dogs and their owners. Give me that. And the only reason he's presenting this as the cause is because the dogs are around people. So it's still the same outcome. The dog is the problem, is the transmitter. But don't try to make it sound like dogs out here picking it up from the sheep. They want to try to blame the origin on the sheep. And then the dog eats the sheep excrement. Shut up. Most dogs in society have never eaten anything from no stupid sheep. Not no excrement, not no larvae, not nothing. The sheep develop them inside their body. It passes through the sheep. The dog eats the excrement from the sheep. Then it passes through the dog. And then the sheep eats the contaminated grass that the dog lay excrement on. So it's dog excrement that the sheep eats. And you're blaming that contaminated dog excrement on the sheep. Get out of here, old man. Did y'all catch that? This dude all over the place.
Organs that are then eaten by dogs or...
Between the two,
It also...
The propaganda. It could get into your body just from these licks that y'all allow all the time. These dogs are always licking y'all across the face, across the mouth. That's all it takes. You can just get on your hand. Put your hand up to your mouth. He's trying to make it sound like it's impossible or rare for this to happen for the dog to get you sick. Understand, the problem is these eggs being on the dogs. And what they're saying is that, hey, the dogs are out eating sheep excrement. Shut up, man. They're getting them from the sheep. No, the dog's getting them from themselves. They come pre-packaged with tape. Oh my goodness. They couldn't even avoid blaming the dog. They had to. They have no choice. They try this mental gymnastics. No. The dog is the culprit. The filthy, nasty culprit. Now, the sad thing is, we don't know how often we get sick. We don't know how many infections we get from dogs. We just don't know. But seeing that, 65% of homes in the U.S. have dogs, it's clearly a problem. There's no way that these things are not having an impact on our health. It's not even possible.
That has fecal matter in it, right, from animals. Or food.
Now this man is going over parasites in general. He's got his chart up here. You can see it behind him. Parasites. Roundworm, hookworm, pinworm, giardia, etc. He's got a list of parasites. Now he's going over the different ways you can contract these parasites, the means of transmission. You got water, meat, oral fecal, pets. We know what that means. We know what that means. Why don't you just write dogs there, sir? You see how he's brainwashed too? This is something that's conditioning. He wrote pets. Water, feet, insect. Feet?
So forth, you can get parasitic infections. Oral fecal route, basically runoff water that you drink or that's in your food that has fecal matter in it, right, from animals. Pets. People don't realize that pets can transmit parasites, anything from roundworms to H. pylori infections.
Oh, okay. But why are you getting so serious there, bro? He's getting serious. He took a authoritative stance. He squared up to the camera. Why are you getting serious, bro? See, when he got to pets, his whole attitude changed.
Right, from animals. Pets. People don't realize that pets can transmit parasites, anything from roundworms to H. pylori infections. So oftentimes these, let's say dogs.
You just happened to choose dogs, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew that's what you had on your mind.
People don't realize that pets can transmit parasites, anything from roundworms to H. pylori infections. So oftentimes these, let's say dogs, are brought up in these kennels with other dogs. And maybe the conditions are not quite sanitary. And oftentimes they will pick up things like roundworm. And that's why they test new puppies, right? They do a stool pathology test to make sure they don't have any parasites. So pets are a big transmitter of parasites.
I think it's mainly dogs. I hear you. And I understand. I know what rabbits are. I know what hamsters are. I know what cats are. But I think it's mostly dogs you're talking about. You know, no disrespect. I'm sure you're a good doctor. Tapeworm infections on the rise in people and dogs. This was published January last year. Tapeworm on the rise in people and dogs. Why just those two parties? Huh? Think about that. Now, why? Why just those two organisms? People and dogs. So are we to assume that all of these dogs with tapeworm got it from eating excrement from sheep? Stop. Stop. Now, University of Calgary, look at this. Deadly tapeworm parasite in wild muskrats. Okay. Now we got muskrats in the picture. They'll blame anything as long as it's not a dog, and they're doing it. Look at this. Just to briefly recap, the parasite is a tapeworm. Animals in the canine group, coyotes, wolves, foxes, and domestic dogs, okay, thank you, are the major carriers of the adult parasites. The eggs are present in their feces if they are infected, okay? They say nothing about sheep. It sounds like these mutts, they come with the worms. They're born with them. And they probably self-manufacture them. Pass them down generationally. I don't know. But they're not getting them from other creatures. The normal wildlife cycle continues when a rodent, such as a mouse, they develop the parasitic liver cyst. And when a dog eats them, the tapeworm. So, even by saying this, man, tapeworm still gets to people through this nasty dog. The dog eats the carcass of a muskrat because the dog is a nasty, filthy beast itself. So the dog's having these worms, these parasites, is the result of the dog being such a vile, dirty, filthy creature. But I don't buy this idea that the dogs are, just getting it from these other sources. Where do they originate? There are many unknown factors regarding the risk of humans acquiring this tapeworm disease. They claim it used to be rare in the United States, but at least 17 people in Alberta have contracted it since 2013. No, it's more than that, because it can go undetected in your body for years. Tapeworm, several parasites go undetected in you. But look at this. Look at this. Veterinarian warns against seemingly harmless activity with your dog after a massive parasite was found in a woman's pelvis. Y'all remember, I think I shared this. This surfaced back in May. They discovered a cyst twice the size of a tennis ball in her pelvis, and she was pregnant. Rushed to the hospital after months of abdominal pain. Can't make this up. She was 20 weeks pregnant. The scans revealed it was a hydatid cyst, a growth formed by a tapeworm infection that humans most commonly get from interacting with dog poop. Let's increase the size here. Huh? We need to get that sentence right there close up. Thanks for not putting us through mental gymnastics, giving us a lecture about sheep. Some other nonsense like that. The humans get it from interacting with dog poop. We don't interact. We don't really do that. We might step in it. We don't interact with dog poop. What dog lovers do is let that dog lick them in the face, knowing that those dogs eat that excrement. They lick up excrement. They eat excrement, whether it be their own or some other organisms. I mean, they're acting confused when dogs eat excrement for dinner and goes right back and licks on their owners. Wow. You can't make this up, man. Ideally, look at this. And this was recently published. This is a recent article. Ideally, dogs should not lick faces, especially around the mouth or eyes, as a matter of health. Of course. Your mouth, your eyes, that's like an open wound. You're basically walking around with a permanent open wound when you're talking about your eyes and your mouth and your nose. It has contact with your bloodstream. Things can go right from your nose, mouth, eyes, straight to your bloodstream. We're walking around with a permanent open wound. These people allow dogs to lick those open wounds, don't they? That's what you do. You can't play around with that. Look at this. Mouth, nose, eyes are vulnerable to infection. We all know this. We got membranes in our nose, mouth, eyes. Pathogens can enter through contact with contaminated hands or objects. We all know this. Droplets. I made a live stream on droplets. They come out of your mouth. Some are microscopic. They come out of your mouth when you talk. That's why we were wearing masks. The masks were intended to fight the droplets. That's where these infections are coming from. Our close relationship with dogs. And I use the term "our" loosely because I'm only talking about dog lovers. And when you're dealing with dog lovers, what do dog lovers love to do with their dogs? I'll give you a hint by showing you this again. What do they love to do? Don't they love to go on hikes? Don't they like to go out in nature with their dogs? They're dying to go to the river, go hiking, go to those very places where all this filth is, parasites is. Dogs, I believe, are the main culprit for a lot of infections. Like, what are we even talking about? There is a recent infection that's going around that Sheepy did a video on. Something fever. What was that? Like, some kind of fever that's going around. And it's comes from disturbed or a soil. Like when you, because they originate in the soil. And these spores go airborne only after you disturb the soil, or the soil is disturbed. Now, I want y'all to think about that. We as people, we don't disturb soil. The most we do is walk on it. In isolated areas, you'll have digs or whatever. But 80, 90 million dogs, the first thing they do when they get on soil is disturb it. Start digging, don't they? I mean, in many cases, the only thing you can compare dogs to is groundhogs. When it comes to digging, disturbing soil. And when you're talking about, remember, this other infection, this fever infection that Chiba is talking about, it's on our most recent live stream. It's a respiratory infection. Just like that big one in 2020. And back then, I was pointing at the dogs. Because dogs are always catching respiratory infections. Most of these infections that they break out with, these outbreaks, it's like one every other day. When it comes to dogs, most of them are respiratory infections, which is no surprise. Walking around all the time to stupid mouths hanging open, breathing all hard and fast, throwing saliva everywhere. And people were out in 2020 and even today with masks on. They really still wear them in Asia, different parts of Asia, Japan, China. And they'll be there with a mask and have a dog right there with them. You can't make this up. I've been saying this, and you know what? To be honest, I believe you could do tests now. In I think it's Maldives. You could do tests right now on the health improvements, benefits that those people enjoy by not having dogs there. I can almost guarantee overall they deal with fewer issues than us. These infections that they've been talking about, from tapeworms, even that other infection that's going around right now, they make you feel sick. You start to feel like you have a cold or pneumonia or something. Valley fever. That's what it's called. Valley fever infection. And it's on the rise. Look at this. U.S. valley fever cases may be 18 times higher than reported. This was released or published a day ago. What? The disturbance of the soil? And that's not all. Y'all make sure you listen to her video. I haven't put together any real research on it yet, so I can't go deep into it right now. I checked out a couple of these articles already. It was just 2. I checked out these 2 already. But I strongly believe dogs are the main culprits in this case as well. I don't care what you're talking about. Common cold, whatever you're talking about, I believe dogs are the main culprit. Staph infection. Get dogs out of our midst. Then let's see how, many staph infections we suffer from. The common cold. Get dogs out of here. Whatever you're talking about. Because remember, that infection from 2020, it was not only respiratory, it mimicked a flu. You felt like you had the flu. And don't we deal with that like every year, most of us? We even look at, you got a yearly flu. Is it flu? Everybody gets sick. You have a cold or flu or something. It's possible that we wouldn't experience that. We could at least chop that in half, if not more, if dogs were not around. So I don't trust dogs. They are a curse. They are a parasite to humanity. They're a parasite. Y'all know what a parasite is, right?
Welcome back. This is Dr. Jin Sung, where clinical excellence meets excellent results. Today we're going to talk about parasites. What are they? How do we get them? How do we treat them? And how do we prevent them? Okay? So on the board behind me, we have a list of different parasites. But basically, a parasite is anything that is living in our body that is detrimental and has no benefit to us. Okay? So let's go.
Isn't that dogs to humanity? Sound like it to me. Say it again.
On the board behind me, we have a list of different parasites. What are they? How do we get them? How do we treat them? And how do we prevent them? Okay? So on the board behind me, we have a list of different parasites. But basically, a parasite is anything that is living in our body that is detrimental and has no benefit to us. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at the list.
Dogs have no benefit and they're detrimental to us. Don't talk to me about no bomb sniffing dog. Don't talk to me about no dog sniffing nothing. Just because dogs can sniff don't mean we need them. Don't talk to me about no CNI dog either. We got devices. We did just fine before the use of CNI dogs. They have no benefit. Even when you talk about these things on police departments, that's not a benefit. They have no benefit at all. People like to talk about, oh, they could be used for protection. You can use something else. And many times, those dogs turn on their owners. Some protection. You got to be dumb to want to trust that. No, thank you. They're detrimental and have no benefit. They're a parasite to humanity. They're also a parasite to the planet itself. Dogs themselves. And it's no surprise. You know, with creatures that are permanently and naturally riddled with parasites, I would expect them to function like a big old parasite. And that's exactly what they do. Sniffing around everything. Sniffing on everything. Sniffing on this, sniffing on that. Attacking this, attacking that. Eat, sniff, sniff, attack, attack. They just need to be euthanized. Look at this.
And that's
What?
very irresponsible.
Shut up, Caesar. This dumb dog is attacking a fake cow. Do y'all know how unnaturally... That's unnatural aggression at the highest level. That cow is not only bigger than this dog, it's not even real. I thought dogs had this, powerful sense of smell. Aren't they said to be able to smell several times more? You couldn't smell that this was plastic? Why would this dog be aggressive with this fake cow, even if it were real? And then Caesar immediately stops the video and gives cover for this behavior.
And that's very irresponsible. Because, Hugo can make a decision anytime he wants. And the only reason why he is not going to go far away from the lady is because she's holding the leash. But she's not having a communication with the mind of Hugo. Hugo is stimulated by the outside world.
This guy sat there and described this behavior. Oh, it's just stimulated by the outside world. Stimulated by the outside world. So it just launches unprovoked attacks on people, huh? Let me tell you something. That's not an acceptable way to respond to being stimulated by anything in the world. I go through life being stimulated all the time. I see many things and many people, many women that excite me. I don't respond to that stimulation by launching an attack. You see, with dogs, they have reached a point where they're above criticism. And that stretches into the medical industry. To the point where when there are diseases, infections, and whatnot going around, people look at it almost like a sin to blame dogs or to even mention dogs. That's why I had to dig around for articles that would admit and point out dogs as the culprit. when nothing should be above criticism, people. Nothing. Anything that you have put or made above criticism, you've made into a god. And that's what dog lovers have done with dogs. And they know it. Whenever dogs launch these attacks, you ask these dog lovers, why did the dog do that? The dog lovers are going to say that it's because the dog is a victim. It attacked because it's scared. It felt threatened. It's stimulated by the outside world. It's a victim somehow. So we're important. In a crazy, sick world like that, it's important to have people who are the exact opposite. I cannot wait. I pray for the infection, the disease that wipes these things out. Y'all have no idea how hard I will celebrate something like that happens. Some kind of virus that dogs cannot survive. All of them just drop dead within an hour. We go from 80, 90,000 mutts to 0. I'll be the happiest man on this earth. And that'll be for the good of humanity. If people are to the point where they're worshiping dogs, basically, then the removal of the dogs is going to help the people. Shout out to all of you able to join me. And I hope you can join me on the next as we continue with this crusade.